Shalom, shalom. Happy Sabbath to the 12 tribes scattered abroad. This is Brother Donnie here.
Brother Xavier.
And today we're going to go into law abiding citizen. You know, are you a law abiding citizen or are you a villain? Are you an anti hero? You know what I'm saying? Are you a rogue, a renegade? We're going to get into that today. But before we go too deep into the lesson, we're going to give the shout out to the people that made it through on the class. Okay. Shalom, Christina Butler. I see you made it first this class. I wonder why. You know, we're gonna we're gonna go to the next one. All right. Shalom, Sister Kim. You know, happy Sabbath to you. It's good to see you in. You know, the next step is to see you in the building too. You know, we're waiting for that. We can't wait to see you in the building as well. But all praises. We got Sister Yulia, you're in the building. All praises to the Most High. Happy Sabbath. Shalom, Sister Sarah. Happy Sabbath to you as well. In the building, in the flesh. And yeah, I do like the new music as well. You know, I like the upbeat, you know, the little upbeat vibe it gives you. Shalom, Sister Eulasia. Happy Sabbath in the building as well. Shalom, Sister Tamaya. Happy Sabbath in the building. And yes, as Sister said, make sure to like, comment, and share and subscribe. Yeah, do all of that right there. You know, help push this word to the four quarters of this earth. You know, help the prophets and the workers of righteousness, you know, reach their people. Help us achieve that. Shalom, Sister Victoria. Happy Sabbath to you in the building. And yes, it is also new moon. For those that do not know, it's also the new moon today. So, you know, technically we're on a double Sabbath. You know, we love those. We love our double Sabbaths. It's a double rest, you know, double holiday, you know, double honor to the Most High. Happy new moon to you as well, Sean. Brother Sean in the building, the scribe. Shalom, Sister Kayla. Happy Sabbath and new moon to you as well, in the building, in the flesh. Sounds like we on a road trip. Is the audio oh, okay. Can you hear the background? Is that why you're saying that? Is the background too loud? Oh, okay. Yeah. Hey, that is a road trip song. No, that's facts. Yeah, that startup song is definitely a road trip montage, you know, in a movie. Shalom, Sister Destiny. Happy Sabbath and happy new moon to you as well. And happy Sabbath to Brother Quell as well. We hope that y'all two are enjoying your Sabbath and your new moon. And shalom to our elder, Brother Rick. Happy Sabbath. Yes, happy Sabbath to the Israelites, to the people that coincide to Deuteronomy 28. Happy Sabbath to those people. And happy Sabbath, Brother Decarius. You know, shalom, brother. In the building, in the flesh. And the green screen background, you know, just stop getting on us on our green screen, you know what I'm saying? We're doing the best that we can over here. So yeah, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna first start off with Mark 14, and after we go ahead and read through that, we're gonna give up prayers to the Most High.
It's the book of Mark, chapter 14, and verse 3. And being in Bethany in the house of Simon the leper, as he sat at meat, there came a woman having an alabaster box of ointment of spikenard very precious. And she brake the box and poured it on his head. And there were some that had indignation within themselves, and said, why was this waste of the ointment made? For it might have been sold for more than 300 pence, and have been given to the poor. And they murmured against her. And Jesus said, let her alone. Why trouble ye her? She hath wrought a good work on me. For ye have the poor with you always, and whensoever ye will, ye may do them good. But me ye have not always. She hath done what she could. She is come aforehand to anoint my body to the burying. Verily I say unto you, wheresoever this gospel shall be preached throughout the whole world, this also that she have done shall be spoken of for a memorial of her.
Okay, so whenever we bring out this gospel, whenever we bring out this word, we always have to pay homage to the sister that poured the ointment on the body of our Messiah, Jesus the Christ. So, you know, shout out to the sister for the selflessness that she done to our Messiah, knowing his fate, knowing the prophecy concerning him, and making sure that he was right and he was in the best possible condition to go ahead and extend this grace to all of Israel that's scattered abroad. So yeah, let's go ahead and give up prayers, and then we'll get into the lesson. Israel, blow trumpets. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praises, honor, and glory to the Most High God, the God of our forefathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, who you surnamed Israel through your great power. Thank you, Father, for allowing us to be able to come here today. Thank you for allowing us to have a holy convocation unto you, a gathering in accordance to thy laws, statutes, and commandments. And you commanded the people of Israel that on the seventh day that they should come together and that they should gather and that they should reverence you and that they shouldn't buy, that they shouldn't sell, that they shouldn't cook, that they shouldn't work, and that all their focus and all their attention should be towards remembering you and the great things that you've done for us. For you created the earth in 6 days and you rested on the seventh. So we rest on this seventh day as a sign that we are your people, as a sign that we are your children, because we want to do the things that our Father will do. And we thank you again for allowing us to get here safely. I ask that all my brothers and sisters that scattered to and fro, that's sick and shut in, that they're able to gather as well, that they're able to keep thy Sabbath as well, and that the knowledge of thy Sabbath and thy solemn assemblies cross the four quarters of this earth, so that all of Israel may know, and so that the sealed, the ones that are a part of the elect, so that they may become sealed, so that thy only begotten Son may come and destroy and correct this wicked and perverse world, this upside down that we are in. And again, Father, I just thank you for all the great things that you've done for our people. And that I say, Amen.
Yeah, shalom, Israel. I'm not on camera today. I'm not gonna be here teaching. So hey, head Judge Donnie and Brother Xavier be on camera. But I just now realized something. Besides the fact that we should be excited and glad that it's a Sabbath day, we should rejoice in this. It's a day we get to rest and sit back and chill. It's also a day we can sit and reflect on things. Something I gotta reflect on. I realize I'm slow. I just realized this whole time I've been picking up the mic to go ahead and, to blow the trumpet and to pray when I don't really have to do that. All I gotta do is just turn off the noise cancellation and pray, and everybody, and then just have the sound up. And I sit here like, I'm stupid in the mud, but hey, it's cool. Hey, yeah, straight up. Hey, I was like, why not think of that? The easiest solution. So I'm kind of only saying this to think about it. Most of the time, the struggles we have in our lives is avoiding the easy solution. Most of the time, the easy solution is the answer. We always trying to figure out this deep, dark secret, or we got to go fly up to the high mountains or go beneath the deep blue sea or dig into the center of the earth. We ain't got to do that. He says the word is nigh unto thee. You know what I'm saying? It's nigh unto thee. We don't have to do all of this. Sometimes the answer is nigh unto thee. The button, the noise cancellation was right next to me, and I just didn't figure it out. So I just want to let y'all know, use the information that's provided with you. And sometimes it's as simple as just listening. So, yeah. All right, that's all I got for now. Y'all go ahead and let the brothers take it. And, hey, let's enjoy this and take good notes, everybody. Make sure you're taking notes and, engaged.
Yeah, the easy answer is definitely more times than not the solution. That's why this class in particular, I like that he said that, because this is not a deep class whatsoever. This is a very I guess back to the basics class, because a lot of y'all out there, aren't really law abiding citizens. Now, what do I mean when I say that, right? So, we're in this government right now. We're in this country, and we are law abiding citizens because we adhere to the law of this country, right? Like, we know if we go ahead and we kill somebody in cold blood, we're going to go to jail. If we go ahead and we scam, the government, or we scam the banks, we're going to go to jail because that is against the law. If we steal something from a corner store, from a gas station, we're going to go to jail, right? We adhere to these things because we don't want to go to jail. We don't want to be punished by, the government. We don't want to be punished by the powers that control us. So we have an easy time understanding that. But a lot of people claim to be citizens of God. They claim to be citizens of Christ, but they're not abiding to the laws that was set up. They're not abiding to the Constitution, right? Just like how, in America we have a constitution. Well, God has his own constitution, right? Now, any thriving civilization is going to have a standard set up. Any thriving civilization has to have laws set in place, because when there's no laws, there's chaos, right? There's anarchy, there's confusion. So let's actually go ahead. We're going to get the definition of chaos. Okay, so this is the definition of chaos. The very first definition: complete disorder and confusion. So, like I said, confusion. When there's no laws, when there's no rules set in place, when there's no boundaries, you're going to be confused because you're not going to know what's right, what's wrong. There's not going to be any order because there's no system set in place, right? I know with a lot of people, when you have friends, especially when you make a new friend, you guys might butt heads because boundaries weren't set up in place, right? Or let's say a good example, you're going ahead and you're eating food, you're having dinner with your friend, and then your friend is smacking their lips, right? Now, you could be like, hey, bro, just letting you know, when you eat around me, can you not smack your lips? Because, I find that very annoying. That's a boundary that's set in place, right? If those boundaries weren't set in place, all kinds of things would be happening, right? And that specific word would be chaos. Chaos would be happening. These synonyms, disarray, confusion, mayhem, like Allstate, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, mayhem. And we all know what that guy does, right? That guy just causes a whole bunch of chaos, a whole bunch of havoc, right? Disorganization, right? You can't be a citizen of Christ and you don't keep the commandments because you're in a disorganization, right? You're not in an organization at that point. Madness, right? You're crazy. So these are some of the synonyms for the word chaos, right? Because again, every thriving civilization has to have rules, has to have laws set in place, right? Has to have a constitution. Well, this Bible, right? This Bible that we got right here, this is God's constitution right here. This is the Constitution, all right? Now, let's go ahead and see some of the things that's written in this Constitution. Let's go to 1 Corinthians chapter 14 and verse 40.
It's the book of 1 Corinthians chapter 14 and verse 40. Let all things be done decently and in order.
What was that last word?
Order.
Okay, so that last word is order, right? So the Constitution is saying all things. Is that some things or all things, Brother Xavier?
All things.
Okay, so all things, meaning whatever you do, has to be done decently and in order, has to be done orderly. There needs to be a system set in place. There needs to be rules. There needs to be a moral code, right? Let's go ahead and we're going to go ahead and get Deuteronomy 4 and verse 1, because we're going to get one more thing that the Constitution says, because again, if you are a citizen of God, then you're doing things in order. And if you're doing things in order, then you're not a chaotic individual, right? You're not a person that is in disorder. You're not a person that's crazy. You have a moral code. You have a set of rules that you stand by. Okay. So yeah, you can read Deuteronomy 4:1.
It's the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 4, and verse 1. Now therefore hearken, O Israel, unto the statutes and unto the judgments, which I teach you, for to do them, that ye may live, and go in and possess the land which the Lord God of your fathers giveth you.
Read.
Ye shall not add unto the word which I command you, neither ye diminish aught from it, that ye may keep the commandments of the Lord your God which I command you.
Okay, so did Uncle Ben, tell Peter, with great power comes great responsibility when it's convenient unto you? No, right? Uncle Ben said, with great power comes great responsibility. And that was it. Peter didn't add unto that. He didn't take away unto that. And he lived his whole life by that. Peter was a hero who operated with that code, with that moral code, right? So the moral code the Most High gave to us was keep his laws and statutes. The code he gave to us was to keep the commandments and to not add unto the word which he gave us. So don't manipulate it, right? The citizens of Christ, or the so-called citizens of Christ, right? They don't have fringes on because they manipulated Numbers 15:38. They added unto that scripture, or they took away from that scripture. Well, you see, brother, the fringes is spiritual. I don't remember reading that in Numbers 15:38. It just said put the fringes on. But we have brothers that come in and say, nah, well, you see, when you add 3 more words to that sentence, that's when you can really understand that we don't have to wear the fringes, brother. We don't have to do that, right? Did Numbers 15:38 say we have to keep the fringes on until it's not convenient for you? No. It said just throw those fringes on for generation to generation, forever, right? So here's another thing as well. Let's go to Deuteronomy. We'll stay in chapter 4, and we'll read verse 5.
Verse 5. Behold, I have taught you statutes and judgments, even as the Lord my God commanded me, that ye should do so.
That you should what?
Do so.
Okay.
In the land whither ye go to possess it.
Okay, you see, so he gave us these laws and statutes so we can be law-abiding citizens, right? He said that ye should do so in the land whether ye go to possess it, right? Is Superman going to be saving a robber from, like stealing something from some old lady? No. Superman is going to be stopping the robber, right? Because Superman doesn't want villains in Metropolis, right? Christ gave us Metropolis. Christ is our Superman, all right? So here's the thing, right? The heroes in this case right here in Deuteronomy, it would be, Christ. He's, Superman, right? And then we have prophets like Moses, and then we have priests like Aaron, and then we have judges and officers. These are the heroes, right? These are individuals who look out for the people and enforce the law, right? Christ is one of those. And he said, look, when you go into this land, make sure you're a law-abiding citizen. Make sure you adhere to the laws and statutes set up in place. Because if you're not a law-abiding citizen, I can't save you. I won't save you. And in fact, the land will spit you out, right? That's why it's important to really understand, are you keeping these laws? Because it's cool if you keep the laws of Esau, you're keeping the laws of this government so you don't go to jail. But why, when people say they follow God, that they're citizens of Christ, they automatically disassociate laws with that? When it's not like that anywhere else. Anywhere else on this planet right now, any civilization that doesn't have any laws or any standards set up, it's like the Badlands. I guarantee you, it's the Badlands. What happens when martial law happens? Chaos, right? So why would God, the creator of everything, the Almighty, Why would he allow you to just do whatever you want and you can be his citizen? You can live in Metropolis. It don't work that way. And again, the heroes, right? Because we have law-abiding citizens and we also have heroes, right? And again, the heroes are the prophets, the priests, the messengers, you know, the Negroes telling you to keep the laws. Yeah, they're the heroes. You know, they got capes on. You know, they flying around with the fringes on, and they coming to you slapping the pork chop out your hand because they're trying to save you, right? They're trying to save you. What am I talking about? Let's go to 2 Corinthians 5:20.
It's the book of 2 Corinthians chapter 5 and verse 20. Now then, we are ambassadors for Christ, as though God did beseech you by us. We pray you in Christ's stead, be ye reconciled to God.
Okay, so you see, the prophets are essentially the ambassadors of the Most High in Christ, right? Now, notice how it said, as though God did beseech you by us. So he's saying this is like God speaking to you. This is like God was here right now and he's beseeching you. And, you know, to beseech somebody is basically to plead with somebody, right? You're almost begging that person, like, please, you know, listen, right? So he's saying, as though God did beseech you by us, we pray you in Christ's stead, be ye reconciled to God. Okay, so here's another thing for a lot of my, you know, my Christianity, my Catholic brothers and sisters out there that say that they love God, that say that, you know, like, we feel warm and fuzzy when we feel God, when we think of him, right? But if that was the case, and if that was always the case, in this New Testament right here, right, in 2 Corinthians, after, you know, after Christ was on the cross and, you know, came back, all of that, this is after that, right? Why would Paul be saying, be ye reconciled to God? Why is he saying to be reconciled? If everybody was cool and Christ died, yes, we got grace, woo, you know, we tap dancing, we doing the jive turkey, right? Why would he tell these people to be reconciled to God? To be reconciled to somebody means to repair something. So what was broken? Let's go ahead and let's get the definition of reconcile right now. My bad. Okay, so reconcile, to restore friendly relation between, right? So to restore, okay, repair. And then we even got we got another one right here, harmonize, you know, adjust, balance, right? So to reconcile is to restore friendly relations with somebody. So if Paul is saying be reconciled to God, Paul is saying you guys are not law-abiding citizens because God doesn't love people who are not law-abiding citizens. You understand? We lost friendly relations to God because we decided to be villains in the holy city. We lost friendly relations to God because we wanted to be anti-heroes in his holy city. We wanted to be we wanted to be Spawn, right? We wanted to be Deadpool. We wanted to be the Punisher, right? And the funny thing is that we out here being the Punisher and we punishing our own people. We're not even punishing the workers of iniquity. We're not even doing that, right? It's like the Hall of Justice in DC. Like, I know I'm going into superheroes a lot, but it's like the Hall of Justice in DC, right? Do you think Superman would let people bring chaos in the Hall of Justice? Do you think Superman would let somebody grab, you know, a little girl, a grown man, and run away with her? You think Superman would allow, you know, a man to go and snatch an old lady purse and run to the gift shop in the Hall of Justice and spend her money? No. So why in this world we think that we can be in the city of Jerusalem, we think we can be in the kingdom of heaven, and we don't have to keep these laws, we don't have to keep these statutes? Why would our Superman Christ allow that to happen. There is a reason we was told to keep these laws. There is a reason why one of our superheroes, right? There's a reason why Batman, who was Moses, was like, hey, look, this is the contingency plan, because you Negroes are not going to keep the commandments. So make sure you keep the commandments, or else Superman is going to come and turn evil and laser vision you to death, right? Batman was trying to tell us this. He was trying to tell us that Superman is not always nice and friendly. He was trying to tell us that when Superman is angry, there is no hope for anybody. So make sure you do the laws that Superman is standing by. Make sure that you are a law-abiding citizen, right? Again, there is a reason we was told to keep these laws. Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 9, and we'll start at verse 4. Yeah.
Yo, shalom. All right, sorry. Hey, I said I was done, but hey, hey, Donnie would let me sit in peace. You know what I'm saying? Hey, just like the Israelites don't let the Most High sit in peace, don't let Christ sit in peace. He wouldn't let me sit in peace. And I love the point he's making. He starts being reconciled to God. We have this thought in our minds that us as a people, black people, that we are good with God, that we are saved and sanctified, holy, blessed in the city, blessed in the field, not realizing Deuteronomy 28 is telling us how we are the Israelites. We cursed in the city and the field. We are in the worst condition. And on top of the fact, when you reconciled before you reconcile, that means you already got a real good relationship. You have a perfect marriage. You know how Israel, you know how black people are. They try to act like they got this perfect, great relationship. We have a Facebook, Twitter, Instagram people where we show all the highlights and everybody's like, yeah, see, look how good we got it. See us, our life is lit. Look at how my children are all good. Me and my wife, we love each other. And meanwhile, back at the ranch, we fighting. Your kids is getting just all terrible grades. They getting sent home because they bad as hell in school. All kind of BS. But we sitting here acting like we have this beautiful life planned out. And we act like we don't have to get fixed. See, when you have to be told, be reconciled to God, it's an understanding that you are not right with him, that there is something broken. You need to be fixed. You got to be able to be open to correction. Paul is telling them, he said we're ambassadors for Christ, but he said be reconciled to God. So being that we're ambassadors for Christ, that means we are supposed to be, he's saying, hey, y'all are the representatives of him, meaning we the best thing, we the best hope that this world has. And I like how he keeps referencing the Hall of Justice. He's naming it. You got all these good guys here, but that don't mean they're not flawed at all. They have issues. You know what I'm saying? They're not the boys. They're not those people, but we got some flawed people. So what I'm trying to explain is we have to be reconciled. We have to always be willing to accept the fact that we need to get built up, get fixed, be improved, be repaired. There are issues with us, and us as a nation, our people, just walk outside in a black neighborhood and understand that they need to be reconciled to God. We are far from him. He's far from us. He's not dealing with us. And it's delusional to think that we don't need to get brought back to God, because you just look at how down and how broken we are as a nation. The state we are in is terrible. And if you are honest with yourself, you'd be like, dang, we messed up people. We are a nation that needs to be reconciled to God. So to say that you don't need to be reconciled while you're in Roman captivity, to say you don't need to be reconciled while we're in this current Roman captivity with the worst neighborhoods, the worst schools, you can't drive down the street without worrying about your car going through a pothole. You know what I'm saying? You got all this stuff that you worried about. You can't say God is with you. If anything, God is against you. Get reconciled to him so he can start to work in your favor. All right, I'll stand down.
No, that's facts, because again, the reason why if things were good, right, Paul wouldn't have said be reconciled to God, right? He wouldn't. And this is after, for all my tingly, feel it in their toes people. This is after, after Christ died, after, that was all established. So that kind of already shows you that, he didn't die for us to not keep no laws, because why would Paul say to, restore your friendly relations with, the Almighty, right? Why would he say that? And it's like, what our elder just said, we as Israel, you can just go to our neighborhoods and you can see that we need to be reconciled to God. You can see there's no laws, there's no commandments there. And that's why it's so disorderly, and it's like what Christina said. Like in every movie where something apocalyptic happens, everyone goes crazy, right? Because when there's no laws, when there's like no order, people are like, you know, everybody's doing what they want to do. That's why in Deuteronomy 28, you know, this the curses, you know, go into, you know, us, you know, eating our own children, and you know, like even in Second Esdras 14, talking about, you know, during those times, you know, no man's gonna regard their neighbor. They're gonna be going into homes, snatching things, you know, kidnapping people, right? Because when something happens to where there's no order, the system is brought down, it opens room for chaos. It's just a fact, you know. It's not even a speculation.
But what is they all saying? They got order out of chaos.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that,
so it's all by their design. You know what I'm saying? Because like, man, this truth, so it's standing on solid ground. You know what I'm saying? It's not going nowhere. So even when people, all the lies they believe in gets proven wrong, they'll still rather believe in those lies and fall into that trap, man, instead of just
Mhm.
accepting the truth at that point, man.
And it's funny that you said that, because we're going to be going into that as well in this class. We're gonna be going into, because those people, you know, those people are, you know, anti-heroes. You know, those people, they're really villains, right? But they pose as heroes. They pose as, you know, citizens, but they're really anti-heroes. You know what I'm saying? Well, let's get that Deuteronomy chapter 9 and verse 4.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 9 and verse 4. Speak not thou in thy heart, after that the Lord thy God had casted them out from before thee, saying, For my righteousness the Lord have brought me in to possess this land. But for the wickedness of these nations the Lord doth drive them out from before thee.
Okay, so first things first, right? You know, one of the heroes, Batman, he's telling us, like, look, you're not in this Hall of Justice. You're not in this metropolis because you guys were just so righteous. You guys were keeping the commandments. No, you're here because the people that was in, you know, in this city were wicked. The people that was in this city were animals. They were beasts. And I drove them out of my land, right? Let's read verse 5.
Not for thy righteousness or for the uprightness of thy heart dost thou go to possess their land, but for the wickedness of these nations the Lord thy God doth drive them out before thee, and that he may perform the word which the Lord sware unto thy fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob.
Okay, so it was because of the unrighteousness of the heathen, right? And it was because, you know, the Lord is a man of his word, right? His counsel is immutable, like in Hebrews 6 and 18. What he says will never change. And he told our forefathers, our righteous forefathers, that we would receive the land of milk and honey, which was the land of Israel, right? Christ, he was like, you know, I remove some evil people, but y'all are low-key evil too. So make sure you keep these commandments. Don't think that I gave you this because, you know, you guys got a gold star on the test. No, you guys actually, you're almost failing. You're real close. You're on that baseline. You're right in that baseline. All right. But because, you know, y'all fathers were so righteous, because they were such great citizens, because they were great heroes, I remembered their righteousness for your sakes, right? That's why we received this land. And that's why Moses said in Deuteronomy 4, hey, make sure you keep these commandments when you go in to possess this land. Because, again, it wasn't because of our righteousness. It wasn't because of how great we are. You know, even right now, like, we are not alive as Israelites because the Most High, we was born and he watched the first 10 years of our life. It was like, damn, man, that kid is righteous. No, we're not alive because if we was based off of that, we probably wouldn't even be here. You know what I'm saying? We are only here because of the time that we've been allotted from the sacrifice of our Messiah, the time that we were given to eventually get right, right? All of us, and this is, Moses said this way back when, right? Who knows how many thousands of years, you know, he said this, right? He said this way back when, and we still got these same people. We still got these same people, right, who are claiming to be law-abiding citizens, and we still got these same people that's claiming to be heroes, right? Okay. Let's go to Isaiah chapter 29 and verse 13. Because again, we're gonna touch into some of these people, right? There's a reason why Moses said Negroes keep the commandments. There's a reason why he said, hey, don't think you got here because you kept the commandments, because you didn't, right? There's a reason he said all this.
The book of Isaiah, chapter 29 and verse 13. Wherefore the Lord said, for as much as this people draw near me with their mouth and with their lips do honor me, but have removed their heart far from me, and their fear toward me is taught by the precept of men.
Okay, so again, we got these, fake citizens, right? We got these fake heroes, and they're going ahead and saying like, oh, I love God. Oh, I love going to church. I love Jesus. Oh, he's my I don't know them songs, but there's them gospel songs talking about, Christ is the King and all that. They're singing all that, you know what I'm saying? Eyes rolling behind their head and all that. I know your pastor, he could hit the stanky leg. I know he could hit it real good in the service. I know he might be able to sing them lungs out, right? But if he's not dancing to these laws, right? If he's not singing about, keeping the Sabbath, just know his heart, which is his mind, is far from God, right? He is a fake individual. He is a fake citizen, right? If God was Donald Trump, right, he would have been out of here, right? Yeah, he would have got deported, deported to the lake of fire right now, and he wouldn't have even been able to get a gold card. That would have been it for him, right? Now let's touch more on this. Let's go to Isaiah 8 and 20, because I'm saying that if your pastor isn't talking about these laws, right? If he's not talking about these statutes, then his heart is far from God. Now you could be like, well, Brother Donnie, Isaiah 29:13, it doesn't really say anything about commandments. It just says, like there's people that claim they love God, but they really don't. Like, yeah, it's not because they're not keeping commandments. It's because they claim they love God, but they get mad at God. No, that's not what it's talking about. Let's go to Isaiah 8 and 20.
Isaiah chapter 8 and verse 20. To the law.
To the what?
To the law.
Okay.
And to the testimony, if they speak not according to this word, it is because there is no light in them.
Or their heart is far removed from God, right? If there's no light in you, right? Light can't dwell with darkness, right? That's 2 Corinthians 6:14. The light can't comprehend the darkness, right? When a room is dark, you flick that light switch on, the whole room is filled with light, right? The darkness is not half light and half dark, unless you got a bad light bulb. You know what I'm saying? It's not gonna be half dark and half light. The whole room's gonna be filled with light. Okay. So if your pastor is hitting the stinky leg and he don't got fringes on while hitting the stinky leg, that kind of lets you know right there. If your pastor is singing, this little light of mine, and he is one, not the Sabbath, or let's say it is the Sabbath, 7-day Adventist, it's the Sabbath, but he made sure he shaved that morning, so he got smooth face, right? He got no fringes on, mixed fabrics. The suit is mixed fabrics, right? Well, that light he's talking about is the devil. It's not anything in accordance to this word, because Isaiah 8 and 20 says, to the law and to the testimony, if they speak according not to this word, right? Not to this word. It's not talking about the book of Jasher or Jasher. Yeah. It's not talking about the book of Jasher. You see, I'm so into this, I don't even know. I don't even know, right? So it's not talking about the book of Enoch, right? It's talking about the word. It's talking about the Bible. So, we got to understand that most of these leaders in the church, they're not heroes. In fact, most of them are anti-heroes, right? The concept of still being a hero but you just don't like abide to the entire moral code, that doesn't exist with the Most High, right? It's either that you're hot or you're cold. So when you have enforcers that only adhere to part of a code, it brings room for chaos. It brings room for disorder. Look at Deadpool or the Punisher, right? Let's look at Deadpool or the Punisher. Wherever those two go, you are guaranteed that something will explode. You just know. You know something will explode. Somebody will die, and somebody will explode. A building will explode. A car will explode. You know chaos is, because chaos follows them, right? Look at the Suicide Squad in DC. You know, hey, don't X us for that, YouTube. That's a Suicide Squad is a real anti-hero group, right? In DC. Should be good for that. But yeah, in DC, I just want to further exclaim that. In DC, when you look at them, all they do is bring chaos, right? When Amanda, I think that's her name, Amanda Waller, when she calls the Suicide Squad, she's not calling them so she can go ahead and bring order back to something. She's calling them so she can bring as much chaos as possible to whoever she's targeting. That's why they're called. So when you're calling on to, your Christian pastor, when you're calling on to your Catholic priest, when you're calling on to the Pope, just know you're calling on to Deadpool. And I'm pretty sure you would rather want Superman to save you than Deadpool, right? I'm pretty sure we can all agree for that. I mean, yeah, Deadpool, he might be funny, but you might lose a leg, right? I'd rather go with Superman that's going to make sure that I'm safe at all times, right? Let's see what God thinks about this anti-hero mentality. Let's see what he thinks about the anti-hero Israelites. Let's go to Revelations chapter 3, and we'll start at verse 15.
Revelations chapter 3 and verse 15. I know thy works, that thou art neither cold nor hot. I would thou wert cold or hot.
Okay, so Christ is saying, he's like, look, I know the things you do, right? I know who you are, essentially. And I know that you're not, hot or cold, meaning I know you're not for me. I know you're not a law-abiding citizen, right? And I know at the same time, you're not, a complete villain. You're an anti-hero, right? This is for these anti-hero Israelites. These are the people that think that they can pick and choose what they want to do. Christ literally says, hey, I would that you were cold or hot. I would that you would just be either completely good or you're completely evil. And that's not saying that you can't be good and still mess up, because the scriptures say a just man falleth 7 times, right? Proverbs 24:16. But riseth up again. That's the key. Okay. Good people, it's not that these good men will never mess up, because, I messed up, Brother Xavier messed up. All the brothers here messed up. Everybody has. No one is exempt from it. But just because you mess up once doesn't mean you're a bad person. You see, when you mess up knowingly, when you willfully mess up, and you lack any remorse, you lack any feeling towards it, that's when there's no sacrifice for that, right? Let's read verse 16.
So then, because thou art lukewarm, and neither cold nor hot, I will spew thee out of my mouth.
No, you will still get to the kingdom.
I will spew thee out of my mouth.
I will give you a heavenly citizenship.
Spew thee out of my mouth.
Like spit it out, right? If you eat something gross, or let's say you eating something, you like, this food is amazing. And then, the sister was like, oh yeah, I put my armpit hair in that. You're gonna spit it out. What? You're gonna regurgitate it immediately. It's gonna come out, right? You anti-hero Israelites, that's what Christ is gonna do to you. He's gonna be eating the fruits of all the other Israelites. Okay, the Sabbath, yeah. Oh yeah, he was wearing fringe. Oh yeah, he taught my laws and precepts. Oh, that's a good one. Let me pick this fig.
You put a hot pocket in the microwave and it didn't heat up all the way. Some of it was hot, some of it was cold. You bit into it. Spit it right out. It was cold, but you thought it was good. Nah.
Oh man, and you're gonna burn his tongue. You're gonna burn the Messiah's tongue. He's gonna spit you out, and because you burnt his tongue, he's gonna throw you in the trash can, which is the lake of fire, right? So be an anti-hero. You can't pick and choose which part of the Constitution that you want to do, right? There's no in between. Remember, 2 Corinthians 5:20 said to be reconciled unto God, right? Meaning be his friend again. Be a law-abiding citizen. Be a person enforcing these laws, right? That's what it's talking about. It's saying to make peace with God. Be good with him, right? Let's go to John 15:14, because we talked about reconciling, being friends with God, but you could be like, none of these scriptures is saying in order to be God's friend, you have to keep the commandment, right? And that could be a cut. Someone that don't know the scriptures is like, I don't know if there is a scripture like that, but we got you. Let's go to John 15:14.
The book of John, chapter 15 and verse 14. Ye are my friends.
You're my what?
My friends.
Okay.
If ye do whatsoever I command you.
So, in order to be friends with God again, you have to keep the commandments. You can't, and you know what? Let's do the inverse of John 15:14. Let's do John 14:15. Let's read that real quick.
John chapter 14 and verse 15. If ye love me, keep my commandments.
Let's also go to verse 21.
Verse 21. He that hath my commandments.
He that has what?
Hath my commandments.
Okay.
And keepeth them.
Nah, throws them against their back.
And keepeth them.
Nah, it doesn't keep them.
Keepeth them.
Okay.
He it is that loveth me, and he that loveth me shall be loved of my Father, and I will love him, and I will manifest myself to him.
Okay, so this is how you be reconciled to God, right? John 15:14. Then we just flipped it around. We just flipped the verses around. It's still saying keep the commandments. Then we just went a few verses down. It's still saying keep the commandments, right? And even in verse 23, it's talking about keeping the commandments, right? So you can't get away from it, all right? We have to be reconciled unto God. We have to be law-abiding citizens. Are you a law-abiding citizen, or are you straight up a villain? Are you straight up an anti-hero? Because if you're not keeping these laws, then you're not a child of God. Let's go to 1 John 2 and verse 3.
The book of 1 John chapter 2 and verse 3. And hereby we do know that we know him, if we keep his commandments.
All right, so first off, for those who say they know God and they know Christ, if you're saying you know God and you're eating pork bacon and it was cooked today and you just made yourself some pancake and eggs, well, you don't know him. And it's not to be rude or mean. It's literally what the word says, right? And we know that Isaiah 8:20 is that if a person is speaking about these laws and they're not talking about the word, they're not talking about the Bible, there's no light in them. Well, we're talking about these laws, me and Brother Xavier, and by that same scripture, there has to be light in us because we're telling you to keep these laws, right? Read verse 3 again in 1 John 2.
Verse 3. And hereby we do know that we know him, if we keep his commandments.
Read verse 4.
He that saith, I know him, and keepeth not his commandments, is a liar.
Is a what?
Is a liar.
No, is a law-abiding citizen.
Is a liar.
Read.
And the truth is not in him.
And you know why the truth is not going to be in you? Because the truth is the commandments, right? The truth is the laws. Let's go to Psalms 119 and verse 142.
It's the book of Psalms, chapter 119 and verse 142. Thy righteousness is an everlasting righteousness, and thy law is the truth.
Okay, so when we go back to 1 John 2, right, in verse 4, it says, he that saith, I know him, and keepeth not his commandments is a liar, and the truth is not in him. You know why the truth wouldn't be in you? Because you're not keeping the commandments. The truth is the law. You know, it's literally it's like 2 + 2 = 4, right? So if you say that you know him, if you say that you love God, but you don't keep the truth, then the truth is not in you. And that's why you would be a liar. You see how it all comes full circle? And you would also be a liar, right? So not only do you not have the truth, which is the laws, but you also aren't telling the truth. And you aren't telling the truth because you're not keeping the commandments, right? You're lying to yourself because that's who you're lying to. You're not lying to me, right? You're lying to yourself. Just like in Isaiah 29:13, you know, there are those that say they love me, or there are those that honor me with their lips, but their heart is far from me. That's going into this right here. When you say that you know God, right? When you say that, oh yeah, I'm a citizen of Christ, that's what a Christian is. I'm a Christian. You're literally saying, you know, I'm a citizen of Christ when you say you're a Christian, right? I'm a Christian. Okay, well, if you're not keeping the commandments, then you're a liar. You're not a Christian. You are a villain. You are an anti-hero. You are dark side, right?
You know why people love being the anti-hero?
Why?
They're free.
Exactly.
You know, they're free, man. You ain't held by the same standards that the hero, like you said, Superman. He may come through and do everything gentle and smooth. Deadpool coming through, you, like you said, using a leg or a couple bullets shot through you. You know what I'm saying? So you ain't got to do as much. You're not as restricted, right? That's why people love being that, man.
Hey, that's facts. It's literally what, like what he said. People love being the anti-hero because they're free, or people love being the villain because they're also free. You know, like people who play cops and robbers. There's kids that just want to play the robbers because they like being chased. They like doing bad stuff. They like doing bad-ish. You understand? Like it's literally like what Brother Xavier said. These people, they want to do these things because they don't want to be tied or restricted. That's why 90% of let's say like 98. That's why 98% of everybody, as soon as martial law hits, y'all doing the most crazy ish you could think of doing. You're like, oh yeah.
My fault. I
No,
mean,
no,
cut
you
you
good.
off, man. But
Go
you
ahead.
know what? Because like Paul said, you either prisoner to the devil or prisoner to the Lord. You know what I'm saying? I think it was Paul that said that. I might be misquoting. So when you're a prisoner to the system, when it all fails, that's why you're gonna be like that. But if you were a prisoner to the Most High and you were abiding by these laws, it wouldn't even affect to you. You're gonna be sitting there with a smile on your face when it all fall down. You know what I'm saying? Instead of losing your mind, going crazy, but you're not knowing you're a prisoner. Which one you want to choose to be? Which one you want to be to? One comes with a little more freedoms. Other one comes with more benefit.
Facts. One comes with a little bit more freedom, but one comes with more benefits, right? And it's funny that we're bringing this out because we're definitely going to touch into that. We're going to touch into, you know, the mindset of these anti-hero individualites, these anti-Israelites. We're going to get into the mindset of those people. We're going to get into the mindset of the jokers that we got in Israel right now. You know, the Dr. Dooms. We're going to get into all of that, right? So we're going to go to Matthew chapter 7, and we're going to read verse 21 because, you know, we got people claiming that they're citizens, right? We got people claiming that they're Hebrews, right? But they don't celebrate the Passover, you know, the Hebrew Independence Day. You know, they could even say that they're not Hebrews. They just love God, but they can't put the pork down, right? You would be a liar. You would literally be considered a liar. Anti-heroes do not exist in this movie, right? They do not exist. Well, they actually do exist, but it's not the way you think of. They're definitely not Deadpool running around immortal, and you know they could do whatever they want and nothing's gonna happen to them. No, it's very different for them in this one.
Most I call them a tear.
Exactly. Hey, you become that terror, and what happens? You get tossed into that fire, right? So let's get Matthew chapter 7 and verse 21.
Book of Matthew, chapter 7 and verse 21. Not every one that saith unto me, Lord, Lord, shall enter into the kingdom of heaven, but he that doeth the will of my Father, which is in heaven.
Oh yeah, my bad. So yeah, It says, not everyone that saith unto me, Lord, Lord, shall enter. Because again, we got a lot of people, right, that's claiming to be, citizens. We got a lot of people that's claiming to be heroes, that's claiming to be prophets and messengers to the Most High. But they're not doing the will of the Father, right? They're not doing God's will. Let's go to Psalms 40 and 8. Because they are not doing God's will.
It's the book of Psalms, chapter 40 and verse 8. I delight to do thy will, oh my God.
Okay, so David's saying, I love to do your will, God. Let's see what it is that he likes doing.
Yea, thy law is within my heart.
Thy constitution is within my mind. The moral code, great power comes with great responsibility, is in my mind. You see, the laws is running through David's mind like Peter Parker when Uncle Ben died, right? The laws is running through his mind. The same scriptures is running through his brain, right? He delights to do his will. So when we go back to Matthew 7 and verse 21 to 22, right? Matthew 7 and verse 21, my bad. When he says that everyone that saith unto me, Lord, Lord, right, shall not enter into the kingdom of heaven, but he that doeth the will of my Father. Well, what's the will of the Most High? The commandments, the laws. Everything is going back to the laws, right? You can't, it's in the name. You can't be a law-abiding citizen and you're not abiding to the law. That's crazy. That's just crazy to me. You can't say you're a Christian and you're not doing the things that Christ did. You're not doing the things that he would do. Let's actually go to 1 John 2, and we're gonna read verse 6. Because I actually forgot to get this one.
Book of 1 John chapter 2 and verse 6. He that saith he abideth in him ought himself also so to walk, even as he walked.
Okay, so it says to walk even as he walked. Okay, walk the same way the Messiah walked. And the Messiah kept the commandments. The Messiah preached to keep the commandments. Okay, that's what Matthew 5 and 19 is. Breaking the least of these commandments, you will be the least in the kingdom of heaven. It's not saying you're going to be working at Taco Bell in the kingdom of heaven. You're going to be working at the lake of fire, and your shift is going to be 24/7, right? For eternity. That's a long shift. I ain't going to lie to you. That's a long work eternity. You know what I'm saying? You get no breaks, no water, no lunch break. Don't even think about a lunch break. You know what I'm saying? That's not happening. Okay? So if you want to say that you are, you walk with Christ, if you want to say that you're a citizen of the Most High in Christ, then you got to walk the way he walks. You got to do the will of the Father, right? Let's go to verse 22 in Matthew 7 now.
Matthew chapter 7 and verse 22. Many will say to me in that day, Lord, Lord, have we not prophesied in thy name? And in thy name have cast out devils? And in thy name done many wonderful works?
Okay, so again, that pastor hitting that stinky leg, you know what I'm saying? He in that Dougie, and you like, dang, that mug clean. You know what I'm saying? He's going ahead, he's singing these beautiful songs, right? It's the same person, these anti-heroes. Hey, have I not I know I murdered 50 people on my way, but have I not saved 3 people? I know I was, blowing up buildings and I killed 50 people in that building, but didn't I save that one person? Right? These are these anti-heroes right now. Let's go to verse 23.
Verse 23. And then will I profess unto them, I never knew you.
I what?
I never knew you.
Oh, man.
Depart from me, ye that work iniquity.
You see, because you're not doing the good work. You're not a hero because you wasn't trying to protect the people that are keeping these laws. Because that's another thing too. You know, a lot of you guys are sheep's and wolves clothing. To just keep it a buck. A lot of you guys are preying on these law-abiding citizens. A lot of you are. You know, a lot of you that want to be, you know, like your own leader, but you got, you know, you got everybody under you not wearing fringes. You know, we spoken with a few brothers like that, you know, on our brothers chats. We spoken with a brother, you know, he had like I don't know, he had like what, like 10 wives or something. He had like 10 wives and he called himself Moses. You know? Yeah, you're right. Yeah, we had a brother like that, you know. We had a brother, and you can tell, and there's nothing wrong with having multiple wives, but you can tell somebody's spirit, you know, by the certain things that they do, right? You can tell it's like, you know, you was doing that because you want to fulfill your own desires. You didn't want to create really families and increase the body of Israel. That's not what you was doing that for. Nah, you heard be fruitful and multiply, and you ran for them hills, right? But you didn't hear the fringes. You didn't hear the Sabbath. Now you heard be fruitful and multiply. You're like, that's all I need to know. And you're running, right? So these people that are going to profess to Christ in those latter days, they're workers of iniquity. They're really villains, right? They're really anti-heroes, right?
Like you said, wolves in sheep's clothing, because they're supposed to be pastors of the flock and shepherds of the flock, but end up selling out to the wolves when they come around. Because every single church that gets established out here, you get funded by the government one way or another, some way, somehow, through some organizations, charity, funded, and we all know who's at the top of that. You know what I'm saying? Amalek. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to say the Bible. So we already know who's on top of it. So you end up falling into their trap, even though, like Brother Donnie's saying, you're leading people who have a heart for God, knowing this stuff's wrong, because you know you done seen it. If you a pastor and you have somewhat of a intelligent mind and you can read, you know you done read these scriptures, you know you done gone through these things before, and I know you done had brothers come up and talk to you before, but you're still choosing to lead the flock astray. And like Jeremiah 23 says, woe unto you.
And we're also gonna get no, it was in Matthew 24. What was that scripture in Matthew 24? Talking about false prophets. Matthew 24. Yeah. Get Matthew chapter 24 and verse 13. Yeah.
It's the book of Matthew, chapter 24 and verse 13. But he that shall endure unto the end, the same shall be saved. 24 verse 13.
I'm tripping. My bad. Matthew 23 and verse 13.
Book of Matthew, chapter 23 and verse 13. But woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for ye shut up the kingdom of heaven against men. For ye neither go into yourselves, neither suffer ye them that are entering to go in.
So it's like, you know, what you're talking about, Brother Xavier. So these scribes and Pharisees, these heroes, right, they're shutting up the kingdom of heaven for everybody else because, you know, they know like, you know, I know I'm too damn wicked to get into the kingdom. Well, at least let me just make sure no one else gets in, right? These are those same people in Matthew 7 that are like, oh, didn't I do great works for your name? Didn't I do? And Christ is going to be like, get away from me. You are a worker of iniquity. Okay? These scribes and Pharisees, they shut up the kingdom of heaven against men. You know, they shut up Metropolis for you. You know, you got the ability to go into Metropolis. You got the ability to have Superman watching over you 24/7. You can scream about to fall and Superman's going to come. He could be, you know, 20 planets away from you. You know, you could scream, you fallen. and before you even hit the ground, he's gonna be there, right? These are the people that's shutting it up for you. Let's go to Psalms 147 and verse 19, because again, imagine, you run into Superman, you got Doomsday chasing you, and I'm not talking about, Doomsday the event, Doomsday the villain, you got him chasing you. If you don't know who Doomsday is, just look him up and you would understand why you would be running, right? Just look him up. So you got Doomsday chasing you. You run into Superman, and then you got the Superman, and Superman's like, get away from me. Ain't that scary? You got this evil coming after you, and you run into Superman. Oh my God, Superman, save me. And he's like, who are you? Right? So you got to understand, just like the whole world, loves Superman and thinks he's the strongest hero, right? Superman still has one city, which is Metropolis, right? He's in one country, which is America, right? And Metropolis for us would be Jerusalem, and our Superman would be Christ. But I just say that to think, because a lot of people, they really hate the concept of Christ just being for like one nation, like one city. But every hero that y'all love is the same way. You don't see Batman stopping crimes in Metropolis. No, Batman's in Gotham City. That's what he's worried about. You don't see Superman in Taiwan, you know what I'm saying, stopping a war in Taiwan. No, Superman's in Metropolis. That's the city that he's appointed over. That's the city that he's tasked with keeping. Christ, our Superman, is the same way. All right? He's not over there saving the entire world, right? Unless that world is the world of Israel. Christ ain't doing that. But, when we say that, when we the Israelites, when we say that, oh yeah, Christ don't love everybody, people, they feel some type of way. But if somebody was to say, oh yeah, Superman stays in Metropolis and he doesn't really do anything outside of that because that's his city, they're cool with that. They understand that. You love watching Batman beat up the Penguin in Gotham City. But when Christ is beating up Esau, in Jerusalem, everybody all of a sudden, it's not funny no more. It's not fun no more. Well, this is reality. Let's go to Psalms 147 and verse 19.
It's the book of Psalms, chapter 147 and verse 19. He showeth his word unto Jacob.
Unto who?
Unto Jacob.
No, unto Esau.
Unto Jacob.
Unto Moab.
Jacob.
Read.
His statutes and his judgments unto Israel.
Read.
He hath not dealt so with any nation. And as for his judgments, they have not known them. Praise ye the Lord.
Again, praise ye the Lord that you're even known these judgments and these statutes, because he ain't give these to the whole world. You see how beneficial our law is. Hey, don't murder somebody in cold blood. Hey, don't R-word a woman. Hey, marry a woman that you lie with. Hey, go ahead and marry people that's from the people of your fathers, people of your nation. Marry other Israelites. Stay within the family, right? These are all things that the other nations did not receive, right? The fact that all these other nations, they operate based off of how we operated. They give taxes because they seen, the Negroes, when they was in power, they was taxing everybody in the times of Solomon. And man, look at how great their nation was, right? These are statutes and laws that wasn't shown to anybody else. Praise ye the Lord. Praise him for that. Give him thanks for that. You got something?
And especially, yeah. And it says, as for his judgments, because Israel, like we was talking about before, so always focused on the good and the good and the good, you know what I'm saying? And not talking about everything else that's going on, like Elder Rick was talking about in Psalms 23, verse 4. I'll go ahead and read it.
I can read it for you.
All right, go ahead and read that.
This is the book of Psalms, chapter 23 and verse 4. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death.
Yeah, we in this earth got all these wicked doctrines out here tossing us to and fro, you know what I'm saying, taking us every which way from the Most High.
I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me.
So going back to Psalms 147, and when he says, as for his judgments It says, the rod and the staff comfort me, right? We get corrected. We don't get that correction, right?
Mhm.
Again, I'll praise the Most High for the good and for the bad, man. Because
Mm.
with that correction, it keeps us on the straight and narrow path, and it doesn't
Mhm.
lead us to the wide path, which leads to destruction.
Hey, facts. That correction, his judgments, we need to praise him for that as well, because the scriptures say in Proverbs 3 that any man who is chastened from the Lord, he's dealing with you like a father with his child. I'm butchering that, but it's in Proverbs 3. What I'm saying, I think it's 3:11. It's talking about like when you get corrected, when you get judgment from the Most High, it's not necessarily a bad thing, because he loves you enough to even take the time to correct you.
Mhm.
Like, you gotta realize, a lot of these other nations, he has so much apathy for them that he just does not care what they do. He's like, what are you guys doing? Oh, okay, so you're going ahead and you're eating babies again. I expected that.
Mhm.
Like that's how the Most High is with them. But with us, he's like, wait, what? That an Israelite with fringes on, eating cooked bacon on the Sabbath? Oh, let me get my belt. Like that's because he loves us, right? He wants us to do better, right? And again, he didn't deal with any other city than Jerusalem, right? You don't see Superman in China stopping a Chinese robbery, right? Superman is in Metropolis, stopping robberies in Metropolis, okay? Christ is looking out for his people that are keeping the laws that he enforces by the Most High. Just like Superman is protecting the people in Metropolis that are following the laws that he enforces from the government, well, Christ is, protecting the people, keeping the laws, enforcing the laws that is come to from the Most High.
You ever seen those memes, bro, of the Batman where you trying to break laws in Gotham City, and Batman pop up, bro, just start whooping
Break your
your ass,
legs
bro.
and break
Look,
your heart.
look, again, people don't like it because it restricts you from certain freedoms from doing stuff. Now you can't jaywalk because Batman gonna pull up on you and he gonna get your ass, right? Or you can't smoke in the spot where it say don't smoke because Batman gonna come here and get you. But needless to say, people don't want to keep the laws or be all the way associated like we were talking about before, because they know it restricts them. Again, they know they got to be on their P's and Q's more often. They don't like that.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And it's like what Brother Xavier said. Excuse me. People, they don't like keeping the laws because they think it's grievous unto you. Now, it's funny because Christ is that Batman. His mentality is more like Batman than Superman now. Like, he's not really, I'm gonna say no, he's more of, where are they? That's the timing he's on. You know what I'm saying? Christ is on that timing where, you breaking the Sabbath and he coming down with a holy elbow. You know what I'm saying? Cracking your back like Bane. He's picking you up and breaking your back. That's the timing Christ is on, right? Christ is literally those Batman memes where it's like you get caught stealing a dollar from the corner store and you walk outside and Batman is, roundhouses you and your jaw is broken and he's beating
And he gonna ask you if you got change before you do it.
I'm telling you, this is what Christ really, this is Christ's character. Okay. He is a superhero, right? And he is a superhero for the people of Israel, and his chosen city is Jerusalem, right? But he will, quote unquote, F you up if you decide to be an anti-hero, if you decide to be a villain, right? If you decide to no longer be a citizen, well, it's going to be up for you, right? Let's go to 1 John chapter 5 and verse 2. Because again, if you are a real law-abiding citizen, you are keeping the law.
It's the book of 1 John chapter 5 and verse 2. By this we know that we love the children of God, when we love God and keep his commandments.
And do what?
Keep his commandments.
Not forget the commandments.
Keep his commandments.
Read.
For this is the love of God, that we keep his commandments.
That we forget the commandments.
That we keep his commandments.
Okay.
And his commandments are not grievous.
No, it's hard to keep the Sabbath.
His commandments are not grievous.
Man, it's impossible to wear 100% clothes. Everything is mixed out here.
are not grievous.
So you see that? And it's going into what, Brother Xavier was talking about earlier and what he just talked about, right? These people, they want to be anti-heroes because they know there's no restrictions. They know there's nothing, quote unquote, holding them back, right? That's how they see it. But when you're a real law-abiding citizen, when you're a real child of God, these commandments aren't grievous unto you. You should be excited it's the Sabbath. And if you woke up today and you were like, man, it's the Sabbath, you got to check your spirit. You really got to check your spirit because you're on that anti-hero side, right? And just like if I was to eat something that a sister made and she was like, oh, I put my armpit hair in it, I'm a spew it out. He's going to spew you out the same way all over the computer screen. You see what I'm saying? So we got to understand that if you really love Christ, if you really think that you're a law-abiding citizen, then you should also think that, it's not grievous to keep these commandments. Like a lot of people, we're in America right now, and we don't think that it's not grievous that, we can't go ahead and take advantage of a woman. We're like, oh yeah, no, yeah, that is good. That's a law. We don't think that it's not grievous to, you make sure that we don't kill people. We're like, oh yeah, no, that's good. Right? But how come we think it's grievous to keep the Sabbath? We think it's grievous to get married before sleeping with a woman. How can you do that? We're humans, we're animals. We naturally, mate in. No. You guys are animals that don't keep the commandments. You guys are animals, but we are actually supposed to be men. We are supposed to be humans, right? Let's go ahead and get Matthew 7 and verse 24 now. You know what I'm saying? It's not grievous to fast one day out of the year. That shouldn't be grievous unto you. It could feel grievous, I'll tell you that much. It could feel like it, but spiritually it shouldn't be grievous unto you.
It's the book of Matthew, chapter 7 and verse 24. Therefore, whosoever heareth these sayings of mine, and doeth them.
And what?
And doeth them.
No, and forgets them.
And doeth them.
No, just keeps them in their mind.
And doeth them.
Okay.
I will liken him unto a wise man, which built his house upon a rock.
Because you know why you're a wise man that built the house on a rock? Because you would be looked at foolishly if you was building a house and you're like right next to let's say you're right next to the river, or you're right next to a large body of water that can flood your area, and you're on the downside of a hill. You're on the downslope of a hill. You would be foolish to build your house right there, because when the rain comes, when the floods come, your house is is washed away, right? If your house is on a cliff, a nice sturdy, foundation with nothing but rocks, that rain is going to come. It's not going to affect you. It's not going to bother you because you built your house on that rock. And I'm not even going to take it away. I'm going to let the scripture say it. Read verse 25.
Verse 25. And the rain descended, and the floods came, and the winds blew and beat upon that house, and it fell not, for it was founded upon a rock.
Okay, so the rain and the flood, the winds, right? It's not literal, I guess you could, it would be wise to build your house on solid foundation, but that's not what Christ is really telling you to do right now. He's not telling you to build a literal house, on a solid foundation. That house is your understanding, right? He's telling you to build your understanding on the rock, which is him. And you know what Christ is? Christ is this Bible right here. He's the Word, right? He's the Word incarnate, right? He's telling you to build your understanding on him, because the rain and the floods and the winds, it's a rush of false doctrines. It's a rush of anything that's contrary to this Constitution, right? It's people that will come and try to throw you off. Those people that we read about in Matthew 23, that's trying to shut up heaven for you, right? That's what the rain, the winds, that's what all of that is, right? And if your understanding is founded on the rock, which is the laws, if your understanding is founded on that, then whenever these people come to try to throw you off your game, you got that rock there that's supporting you. So even if your understanding does waver, because hey, there was some times me early in the truth, there was some learned brothers, some learned anti-heroes that was trying to get me to join, their brigade and be an anti-hero too. And I'm going ahead, because I'm making sure my foundation's on this. And I'm like, wait, but that doesn't go with what the scriptures say. And they're saying something that's scripture, and I'm like, oh, I'm my understanding's a little shaken. I'm like, oh dang, I'm doing the Mortal Kombat lean, they ready to finish me, right? But I didn't get finished because at the end of the day, my understanding was on this word, right? The word came and supported me, right? Christ came and supported me because I believed in this, because I studied this, right? So make sure you set your foundation on the rock. Make sure you build your house, which is your understanding, on this rock, because this is what happens when you don't do that. Read verse 26.
Verse 26. And every one that heareth these sayings of mine, and doeth them not, shall be likened unto a foolish man, which built his house upon the sand.
Verse 27.
And the rain descended, and the floods came, and the winds blew, and beat upon that house, and it fell, and great was the fall of it.
And it's going to be great because you're going to lose all that understanding that you thought you was building up. You was building up all that understanding. People was calling you Elder Yahim, Bahim, Baganasai the second. You had the great title. You had the gauntlets on. Hey, I ain't gonna lie, them gauntlets are cold. I ain't hating on you. But yeah, you got the gauntlets on, you know what I'm saying? You got the crown, you got the garments on, you look, you know what I'm saying? You look dope. But if you was building your house on sand, not only will it fall, but you will be likened unto a foolish man. You will be likened unto somebody that doesn't have any knowledge because you didn't build your foundation on these laws. You didn't make sure the person that you was listening to had what was speaking according to this word, like Isaiah 8:20, right? Again, there's a lot of anti-heroes out there. There's a lot of villains out there. There's a lot of false citizens out there. We got people that are like what are they called? The Kree from Marvel. They're like these people that shapeshift. They're these aliens. You know what I'm talking about? They're these green aliens. They call them the Kree or Spree. I don't know. All right, it's been a minute, but they call them that, and they basically infiltrate society by shape-shifting into people. They shape-shift into law-abiding citizens. So Captain America doesn't come through with that shield and bash their head in. They shape-shift and make sure they look like law-abiding citizens. So Iron Man doesn't come through and photon blast them, to a different galaxy. That's what these people are, right? They come in, right, in sheep's clothing, and they come here to try to fool you, to try to shut up heaven for you, because they know they're not getting there. They know they built their house on that sand, right? They know they built it on that sand, and that strong wind came, them doctrines came, and it tore their house down. That's why it's important that, you're going through this class right now. You're like, okay, all right. So I understand that if I really love God, if I really say that I know who God is, okay, 1 John 2, okay, yeah. So I have to keep the commandments. All right, so I have to keep these commandments. All right, Isaiah 8:20, the law and testimony, but not according to this word. Okay, so it has to be according to this Bible. I'm learning about the laws. I can't learn about the laws of God, from the book of Enoch, from the book of Jasher. I can't learn about. I have to learn it from this word, right? You have that mindset, right? That's good. But now you also have to make sure that your foundation is still on this rock, is still on this Bible, as you continue to build your house of understanding up, as you continue putting brick by brick in. You have to always make sure and remind yourself that any new piece that you put onto your house has to be under the rock, or has to be on top of the rock, excuse me. Any new piece that you build on your house, the rock has to be under it. There we go. Right? Because if not, them floods is going to come, them winds is going to come, and boom, your house is gone. Let me get a video real quick. We're going to get a video. All right. So yeah, you know, again, you don't want your house built on that you don't want your house built on that sand. Let's go ahead and get this video right here.
But Parker, we can destroy. But Parker, we can destroy him.
I can't.
Betrayal must not be countenanced. Parker must be educated.
What do I do?
Instruct him in the matters of loss and pain. Make him suffer. Make him wish he were dead.
Yes.
And then grant his wish.
But how?
The cunning warrior attacks neither body nor mind.
Tell me how!
The heart, Osborn. First, we attack his heart.
Okay, so that's what these winds is doing. You know, these false doctrines, they're trying to attack your mind. They're trying to attack your heart. And we're going to get to that scripture as well, you know, because he said, you know, basically you can't attack him physically, right? He's Spider-Man. You know, he's stronger than you. He can web sling. You know what I'm saying? He has spidey sense. He can be alerted to danger. You can't attack him physically, right? That's how they look at us. They're like, oh, you know, these are the Israelites. You know, they're blessed with the strength of God. You know, they're blessed with all this knowledge. They really invented everything, you know, like the light bulb, the elevator, the color TV, the refrigerator, stop sign, or stop lights. That's all us, if you didn't know. GPS, that's all us, right? So they know they can't attack us physically because we're too strong. They're like, we got to attack them spiritually. We got to come through like the flood. We got to come through like a typhoon and destroy the understanding that they built, right? Let's keep watching the video.
Give us this day our daily bread and forgive.
Okay, so we got, you know, Aunt May praying to white Jesus. You know, man, I love Aunt May too, man. Man. But yeah, she's over there praying to white Jesus. You know, just ignore that.
Give us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us.
So that's what's gonna happen to you. You got your house built on that sand, right? You see that explosion? That's gonna be the false doctrines, right? That's gonna be the wicked anti-heroes. That's gonna be the villains, right? A villain literally showed up to her house, right? If your house is not on that rock, that's gonna happen to you. You're gonna rewind this for y'all.
But deliver us.
That's what's gonna happen. Hey, look, that's the anti-hero right there.
Deliver us!
Finish it! Finish it!
Evil!
So yeah, you see what I'm saying? You want to make sure that your house is on that rock. You want to make sure that your understanding is on these laws, statutes, and commandments. Because what are you going to do when the green goblin comes to your window? He throws that grenade pumpkin at you. What are you going to do? Right? You don't want to be like Aunt May, where you're praying to white Jesus, and then all of a sudden that grenade gets thrown into your room, and then boom, now your understanding fell. You don't know anything. You know what I'm saying? Now you're in complete wickedness, right? You don't want to be caught off guard like that, right? And one thing that I like about the clip was that, you know, he was telling Osborn that, well, I guess the spirit inside of him was telling him to, you know, attack Peter's heart, right? And I like how they said heart, because you don't see the Green Goblin ever get a stake and try to stab Peter, you know, through his chest, you know, to get his heart. No, you don't see the Green Goblin flying around with a spear and he's trying to stab Peter in his literal heart. No, the Green Goblin was the reason why he went to Aunt May is because he knew that would affect Peter's mind. He knew that would weaken his mind, right? And that's what these people are doing right now. These people that tell you do what thou wilt, that you can listen to half of the law, that you can tap dance on Sundays and, you know, cut your beard and buy on the Sabbath, right? These people are enemies, all right? Go to 2 Corinthians verse 10, and we'll start at verse 3. Because again, you know, we're not fighting a physical battle.
It's the book of 2 Corinthians, chapter 10 and verse 3. For though we walk in the flesh, we do not war after the flesh.
Okay, so literally what, you know, the goblin was telling Osborn, hey, you know, not physically. We're not going to fight him physically. Read.
For the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty, through God to the pulling down of strongholds.
You know why it's mighty through God? Because these laws, these statutes, this understanding is going to be able to pull down any foolish understanding, any foolish religion, anything that seems like it's foolproof is gonna be destroyed through what God gave us, which is these statutes and commandments. But mighty through God, right? What did God give us? Psalms 147 and 19 and 20. He gave us the commandments. He gave us the statutes. Deuteronomy 4. He gave us the laws, right? That understanding that God gave us is mighty, right? Read verse 5.
Casting down imaginations and every high thing that exalteth itself against the knowledge of God, and bringing into captivity every thought to the obedience of Christ.
Okay, you know, casting down imaginations, you know, it is an imagination if you think that, you know, you could not have kept the Sabbath a single day in your life, and when you die, your spirit is ascending into the clouds to go into heaven. That is an imagination. All right, I'm casting that down for you right now. Okay, it is an imagination to think that, you know, you can eat pork, right? And, you know, like you're gonna get beamed up into the sky. That is an imagination. I'm casting that down for you. In fact, I'm gonna just get one because I keep bringing up the pork. We're not gonna go to Leviticus 11. We're gonna go to Isaiah 66. I know it's in 17. Yeah, thank you. Yep, Isaiah 66 and verse 17.
This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 66 and verse 17. They that sanctify themselves and purify themselves in the gardens behind one tree in the midst.
Okay, so, you know, you that's eating the pork chop and you sanctify yourself and like, oh, I'm purified. You know, Jesus is good.
And how did they sanctify themselves? Behind that tree.
Hey,
that
hey,
pastor
hey.
telling them it's okay.
Hey.
Yeah, I can eat this.
Behind the tree, and that's a good point too. Behind the tree, right? Why, if you know you're doing something good, why you gotta hide, right? Why you gotta hide to go do that, right? Read.
Eating swine's flesh.
Eating what?
Eating swine's flesh.
Read.
And the abomination and the mouse shall be consumed together.
Whoa, hold on. They should be beamed up to heaven.
Shall be consumed together.
No, because God had mercy on them.
Consumed together, saith the Lord.
Okay, so, you know, when we go back to that 2 Corinthians, you know, 6, 10 and 3, excuse me. When we go back to that 2 Corinthians 10, right? These are the imaginations that I'm casting down for you. All right, I'm casting that down for you because there is no way that you could be eating pork, swine's flesh, and you're going to get beamed up to the sky. It just don't happen that way, right? And I also like how it said in verse 5, and bringing into captivity every thought to the obedience of Christ, right? Because if you're a hero, right, if you're a hero for Superman, then you got to bring to captivity every evil and wicked person. That's literally what they do. They go ahead, they find people who aren't keeping the law, and what do they do with them? They throw them in prison. They put them in captivity. Am I wrong? Right? That's what they do. So again, we have to understand that this battle that we're fighting is a mental battle, because our enemies don't want us to be law-abiding citizens, because they know once we're law-abiding citizens, we got Superman 24/7, and they can't stop Superman, right? They can't stop him. So again, you know, if you say you're a law-abiding citizen, or if you say that you're a hero protecting these citizens that are keeping the law, then will you be there, right, when Christ brings all things to obedience? Will you have that same desire when he's taking your Ishmaelite friend, and you know he's putting your Ishmaelite friend in captivity, telling him he has to keep these laws or die, and he's telling you to do it. Hey, if he doesn't keep these laws, kill him, right? Are you still gonna be that hero when it's time to bring everything in obedience to Christ? When it's time to bring all things into subjection, right? Are you a law-abiding citizen, or are you a villain? So that's going to be it for the class, unless Brother Xavier got anything for us. Okay. So yeah, you know, I hope you enjoyed the lesson that we brought out. You know, shout out to all the people that tuned in for the class. Shout out to our scribe, Brother Sean, for scribing. And yeah, shout out again to everybody that's here and able to make this possible. You know, shout out to Brother Xavier as well for reading and adding on to the lesson. And shout out to our elder as well for setting everything up for us. You know, and yeah, the grace visa is gonna expire. Yeah, for real. That grace visa is gonna be gone.
Ain't no 2.7% back.
What? That's it. And you know, my bad, y'all. I'm just now getting to these comments. You know, I'm trying to get a little better at that. It's like when the teacher says you got the best score in the class, and then you find, yeah, hey, for real. Excuse me, for real, man.
Yeah,
That is
I feel good, but I don't.
that is so true. Like you're just like, oh, I got the best score in the class, yes. And then they're like, don't get too happy, you know. You got a 41. That's literally what Moses did at Deuteronomy 9. He was like, hey, like, don't, Negroes, don't think you're getting this land because you guys are righteous, you know, like, and for real, like that. Hey, that was a good one. Brother Sean coming with the one-liners, for real. Yeah, woman pastors, yeah, that is also an anti-hero. That is an anti-hero. Real talk. That is a whole villain. Yep. We will not get a participation trophy. And that's what Christ is saying in Matthew 7 and 22 to 23. He's like, I do not know you. You're like, you're coming here saying, oh, Lord, I've done all these great things. He's like, oh, you don't get a participation trophy. Like, I'm only giving trophies to those who finished the race. You ain't even finished the race. Like, come on. You wasn't even running. You was walking. Like, come on now. Times 4. Heroes got to save the day without killing. Yeah, exactly. You know, a hero has a moral code, and that's why people hate heroes, right? That's why people hate Christ. Like in John 15 and 18, right? If the world loved you, then the world would love me, right? The whole world don't like real heroes because real heroes operate by a code no matter what, right? Someone could be almost killing Batman. Batman is not going to kill that person if it's real Batman. You know what I'm saying? If it's the real Batman, right? If it's the real Batman and not dang, what was his name? Not the Batman who last, but what was that guy's name that played Batman and Batman versus Superman?
Ben Affleck.
Yeah, Ben Affleck. It's not Ben Affleck Batman where he's shooting you with the turrets on his jet and he's killing people. It's not that Batman, right?
Hey, he gonna
Yeah,
wish
yeah,
you
yeah.
were,
He was
though.
killing people in that movie. Yeah, yeah. The real Batman don't kill people. It's like, what Brother Sean said. Same with Spider-Man. Have you ever seen Spider-Man just straight up kill somebody? Like, that don't happen, right? But that's why people love Deadpool. That's why people love The Punisher, because it's going into what Brother Xavier was saying. They're free. There's no restrictions on the things that they can do, and they love that. So yeah, a hero is gonna save the day without killing or causing property damage. And yeah, Superman is exactly. That's why I compare Christ to Superman, because the whole world knows that Superman is like the strongest hero. Like we do got these few heroes here and there in like smaller comics that are like, oh, he could be Superman, but at the end of the day, realistically, no hero can be Superman because there's different versions of Superman as well. We could really get into it. At the end of the day, Superman is the strongest. The Isaac cameo. Super, Superman is the strongest hero, for a reason. The whole world understands that, like no one can beat Superman, right? Right? He can never be beat by somebody. You know what I'm saying? Like that is who Christ is. And that's why, we compared him to oh yeah. Well, yeah, that's what Christ is gonna do to you if you're not keeping them laws. You get in that 6-time combo. For all my people that played Batman Arkham Asylum, you're racking up that combo meter, countering, you racking up that meter, right? So, yeah, Christ said, copy him. It's like Simon says. Simon says, put fringes on. Simon says, hey, and Simon was an actual righteous brother too. Hey, Simon did say put fringes on, right? Simon did say to put the pork down, right? So yeah, we really do gotta do what Simon said. Because Simon was a wise brother. But yeah, I'm gonna get to I'm gonna get better at these get into these comments. I'll get one more. I'll never get why they're so obsessed with our God. Go love on Zeus, Poseidon, Buddha, cats, and whatever else they done made up. Yeah, for real, man. Why are they so fixated on our God? What's up?
You know why it is? So
What's
they
up?
can they can throw them all in the mix with all them other ones. You know what I'm saying? Because if
Mhm.
you don't, you separate. Let us just stay to it. You feel me? Be more power, but get it thrown in the mix. I was just another guy. Another guy that's made the Israelites just believe in another guy. They made up another one. That's why.
Hey, that's facts. It takes away God's power, right? When you mingle him in with all these other people, it takes away, it takes away his power. It takes away his glory, right? When you throw God on the same league with all these other gods, and it's like, oh, that's just a god. Like, no, he is the God. He is the most high God. We call him the most high for a reason. It's not just a Hebrew Israelite thing. Like, no, he literally is the most high in every definition. So yeah, and I really don't understand that. Well, I mean, I do, because they know, like what Brother Xavier said, if they do that, it takes away power from the Most High, and it also takes away power from His people. Because if God is for everybody, then now the Israelites don't seem that special no more, right? God is only for Jerusalem, right? The city is Jerusalem, right? And the country is the country of Israel, right? And yes, the people are a part of that city. They are that city, right? The law-abiding citizens are within that city. So again, are you a law-abiding citizen, or are you really a villain? Or are you an anti-hero? That's a question to ponder on at the end of this lesson. Are you really doing the things that you need to do? So yeah, that's it that I got for this lesson. Lord's will, people found value and were edified. And if not, Lord's will, you find another one of these videos that gives you that edification. We got plenty of brothers that do classes on here as well, and they are just as edifying. So Lord's will, you find something else that's able to feed you. But yeah, all praise and glory be to the Most High God. I pray y'all enjoy y'all Sabbath, and shalom.